John Rambo. The guy's a living legend, former elite soldier, special forces, Medal of Honor. In Vietnam, he survives hell itself, gets captured, tortured, scarred for life. Years later, the war ends, but for him, it never really ends. Now he just drifts across America, not looking for trouble, just a little bit of peace. But fate. Oh, fate's got other plans. It's 1980. Somewhere in the US, a lone figure with messy hair and that far-off stare walks into a quiet lakeside town. He's got nothing but a backpack and a hope to see an old war buddy. He knocks on a door and two women answer. Turns out they're his friend's mom and sister. Rambo pulls out a faded note and an old photo of two young soldiers smiling in better days. Then comes the gut punch. The mother, with tears barely holding back, says her son died last year. Cancer. Brought it back from Nam, she says. Agent Orange killed him years after the war was over. Rambo just stands there, speechless. He hands her the photo, says nothing, and walks away. Another piece of him breaks right there on that doorstep. With nowhere to go, he hits the highway, walking mile after mile until night falls and he finds himself in a little town with the most ironic name ever, Hope. Enter Sheriff Will Teasel. This guy takes one look at Rambo, long hair, scruffy beard, army jacket, and instantly decides, nope, not in my town. He pulls over and offers Rambo a ride, not out of kindness, but to make sure this stranger doesn't stick around. Rambo says he's heading to Portland. The sheriff laughs. Portland's the other way. All the guy wants is something to eat, but the sheriff tells him the nearest diner is 50 kilometers away. Translation, get out. He drives him out of town, stops at the edge, and gives him a warning. Don't come back. That's it. That's all it takes to wake the storm sleeping inside Rambo. Rambo says nothing. On the outside, he's calm, but inside, you know something is boiling. As a light rain starts falling, he just turns around and walks straight back into town. He doesn't even wait for the sheriff's car to disappear. That silent walk says everything. He knows how unfairly he was treated, and he's not going to just let it slide. Sheriff Teasel spots him again and swerves over, furious. He blocks the path, gets in Rambo's face, but Rambo, he doesn't even look at him, doesn't flinch. While searching him, the deputies find a massive combat knife on his belt. Why are you carrying a knife like this? Teasel demands. Hunting, Rambo says. Just one word, but Teasel doesn't care. At the station, things get ugly fast. They book him for vagrancy, resisting arrest, and carrying a concealed weapon. The deputies mock him, and Teasel decides he needs a good wash. Rambo retreats inside himself. Every wall, every barred window, every gun on the rack throws him back into Vietnam, back to that prison camp where he was tortured. His eyes dart everywhere, calculating. Deputy G yanks the dog tags from around his neck. John Rambo. He reads out loud. Even the name of a decorated soldier means nothing here. They try to fingerprint him, but he fights back. Teasel storms back in and threatens him with 90 days behind bars, a $250 fine, and a court date at 10 a.m. sharp. Then he orders his men to clean him up. Forced to undress, they finally see the deep scars crisscrossing his body, scars that tell a whole story. One young deputy, Mitch, hesitates. You can see him wondering, what did this guy go through? But G, he's got no patience left. He spins Rambo around and hits him hard with a baton. Then the final humiliation. They blast him with a high-pressure hose, laughing as if it's a game. And when they move in with a straight razor to shave him, that's when everything shatters. The flashbacks slam into him. Ropes, knives, pain, the screams from Vietnam. His breath quickens. He's trapped between two worlds. The small-town jail and the hell he survived. And then he explodes. In seconds, G is on the floor. Another officer goes down, then another. It's all precision. His training takes over. He snatches his knife on the way out and bursts through the doors into the rain. Outside, he knocks a man off a motorcycle and rides straight into the storm. G charges out with a rifle, ready to shoot, but Teasel yells, "No, too many people." And just like that, Rambo is gone. Tell me in the comments. After this, do you blame him or did the sheriff push him too far? Rambo speeds down the road on his motorcycle with Sheriff Teasel right behind him. The rain pours down hard, making everything slippery and dangerous. Soon, the chase leaves the pavement and goes into rough, rocky land. This is where Rambo has the advantage. He knows how to move through tough terrain, and he starts pulling ahead. Teasel radios for backup, but his focus on the chase makes him lose control. His car slips on a steep hill and crashes, flipping over violently down the slope. Meanwhile, Rambo's bike can't handle the drop either. He jumps off just in time and runs into the thick woods, disappearing into the mountains. Teasel shouts after him, "You're finished! You can't run forever!" Cold and wet, Rambo stumbles into an old abandoned construction camp deep in the forest. There he gathers some rope and heavy fabric to make a cloak that will protect him from the rain and cold. Back in town, the sheriff doesn't give up. He calls in more help, and police dogs and a helicopter join the hunt, all determined to find Rambo and bring him in. The dogs catch his scent, and the noise from the search team grows louder behind him. But Rambo keeps moving north, using a small compass hidden in his knife handle to guide him. Eventually, Rambo climbs to the top of a mountain. Nowhere left to run. He starts climbing down a steep cliff above a roaring river when suddenly the helicopter appears overhead. Deputy G is inside the chopper, armed and ready. He ignores orders to take Rambo alive and tells the pilot to hold the helicopter steady. G even threatens, "I swear to God, I'll kill you if you don't." Bullets rip into the rock face as Rambo clings to the cliff, knowing this might be his last chance. With no other choice, he jumps. He grabs branches on the way down, breaking his fall, but still lands hard and badly injures his right arm. The helicopter keeps searching, but the thick trees block their view. From the shadows, Rambo throws a rock at the helicopter's windshield. The pilot panics, jerks the controls, and Deputy G falls out of the open door, crashing to his death on the rocks below. Rambo checks G's body, no pulse. He takes G's rifle and quietly slips away along the riverbank. When Teasel and the others finally find G's body, there's no word from the helicopter crew, just silence. Rambo uses the tools in his knife to stitch up his wounded arm. Then, with his hands raised, he moves toward the search team to surrender. But Teasel, standing above on a ledge, shouts for him to freeze. Rambo doesn't stop. The deputies raise their rifles and aim. Teasel opens fire. Rambo dives behind some rocks and disappears into the forest. Over the radio, the truth comes out. John Rambo is a decorated Vietnam veteran. Tensions rise among the deputies. Some start blaming Teasel for pushing too hard and causing all this trouble. Teasel grabs a young deputy named Mitch and forces him to look at G's dead body. He promises he'll get justice for his friend. The rain pounds down hard as the K9 units push deeper into the forest. One by one, he sets traps all over the woods. Silent, clever, and ruthless. When one of the dog handlers gets careless, Rambo shoots him in the leg. Then he uses a clever decoy to lure the dogs in and takes them out cold. Sheriff Teasel refuses to back down. He keeps driving his team forward, but the truth is clear. The forest belongs to Rambo. This is his territory. With nothing but his knife and his training, he slices through brush and men alike, disabling his pursuers one by one, quietly and efficiently. The woods turn into a war zone. Confusion reigns. The officers are so disoriented that they accidentally shoot at each other. Soon Teasel is the only one left standing. Rambo corners him, quick as lightning. Before Teasel can even react, there's a knife pressed to his throat. But here's the thing, Rambo doesn't kill him. He wants one thing, to be left alone. He makes that very clear, spares the sheriff's life, then disappears back into the trees, taking a police radio with him as a parting gift. The wounded are pulled out, reporters swarm in, and state police roll up with reinforcements. But Teasel isn't ready to give up his control. This is still his operation, and with a fresh army of officers, he's determined to finish what he started. Then Colonel Sam Trotman steps onto the scene. "I trained him. I commanded him in Vietnam for 3 years. Trotman tells the officers that Rambo was the best soldier he ever had, able to survive in the harshest conditions without food, water, or support. He's shocked anyone lived through it. His warning? Let Rambo have space. Let the military bring him in once he's cooled off. But Teasel won't listen. He's too proud to look weak. Now, with 200 trained officers under his command, he's sure they can box Rambo in and end this. As Trotman walks away, he leaves a chilling warning. Start preparing coffins. Teasel catches up and demands the colonel come with him. The whole town braces for chaos. Meanwhile, deep in the wilderness, Rambo survives quietly. He hunts a wild boar, sets up camp in an abandoned cabin, and listens carefully on the stolen police radio. Officers urge him to surrender, but he stays silent. Trying to calm things down, Teasel asks Colonel Trotman to reach out to Rambo. They also plan to trace the radio signal. When Trotman starts using military call signs, calling out names like Raven and Vulture from their old unit, it catches Rambo off guard. One by one, the colonel names their fallen comrades. Finally, Rambo responds. He's the last one alive. Trotman offers condolences and pleads for him to surrender. Rambo's answer? It all began when the sheriff drew first blood, then silence. But that's enough. The trace reveals his location. At dawn, the officers move into the mountains, ready for the final hunt. Rambo slips past them again. He nearly kills a young hunter but stops, realizing the kid means no harm, and lets him go. But things take a nasty turn. Some local hunters spot Rambo moving through the trees. Instead of keeping their mouths shut, they start firing warning shots to let the police know where he is. Rambo makes a run for it and finds an abandoned mine. The cops surround the place and open fire, not expecting him to shoot back with an automatic rifle. A lieutenant shouts into the darkness, "You've got 3 seconds to come out." Rambo stays silent. They count down and fire a rocket into the mine. The blast blows the entrance apart, rocks cave in, and dust fills the air. Everyone outside cheers and poses for pictures, sure that it's finally over. But Rambo isn't dead. He slips deeper into the tunnels, barely escaping in time. When Teasel shows up and sees the mess, he loses it. His orders to hold fire have been ignored again, and now there's no proof Rambo is even dead. Colonel Trotman arrives and once again tells Teasel to stop this madness, but the sheriff is running on anger and pride. He storms off, heading back to town while they wait for a bulldozer to clear the entrance. Down inside the pitch-black tunnels, Rambo lights a torch and slowly makes his way forward. The place is full of old barrels of fuel, dripping water, and narrow paths. He slips waist-deep into freezing water and follows the underground stream, hoping it leads out. Then, as if things couldn't get worse, a swarm of rats attacks him, crawling over his arms and shoulders. He fights them off and pushes through. Smoke from his torch drifts upward. That means air. He follows it until he finds a way out, climbing through tight rocks and finally crawling back up to the surface. While he's pulling himself out, Teasel finds Trotman in a small bar. Tired and worn down, the sheriff actually apologizes. "Look, if I was out of line before, I just want to apologize," he says. He admits that at one point he almost pulled the trigger on Rambo himself, but couldn't bring himself to do it. Trotman doesn't answer. It's been too long since he saw the soldier Rambo turned into. They both assume he didn't survive the cave-in, but Rambo is very much alive. On a nearby highway, he spots a military convoy, climbs onto a truck, and holds the driver at knife point. Inside, M60 machine guns and boxes of ammunition. Rambo kicks the driver out and takes the truck. Minutes later, the radio in Teasel's hand crackles. Rambo's alive, and he's armed. As he drives toward Hope, a patrol car opens fire, shattering the truck's window. Rambo rams them off the road, smashes through a police roadblock, and keeps going straight into town. At a gas station, the truck finally crashes. Gasoline spills everywhere. Rambo lights the trail behind him, and boom! A massive explosion rips through the pumps, cutting off all pursuit and throwing the whole town into chaos. Now armed with the M60, Rambo walks into Hope, slow and steady. Teasel declares a state of emergency. Everyone off the streets. Shelter in place now. Inside the station, Trotman tries one last time to talk sense into him, but Teasel snaps. He accuses Trotman of protecting Rambo from the start, grabs a rifle, and throws him out. The showdown is set. The colonel doesn't waste his breath arguing anymore. He just looks Teasel in the eye and says, "This is not going to end the way you think." He offers to talk to Rambo himself, the only man who might still reach him, but Teasel's pride is bigger than his fear. This is his town, and he's not giving it up. While firefighters scramble to put out the burning streets, Rambo melts into the darkness like a ghost. Teasel knows what's coming. He climbs up to the attic of the police station, waiting for Rambo to come straight for him. And then, all hell breaks loose. Gunshots rip through the night as Rambo blows out transformers, plunging entire blocks into darkness. Storefront windows explode as he fires, scattering every cop who dares peek out. Then he slips into a gun store. Within seconds, he sets off a chain reaction. Ammo, gunpowder, everything goes up in one massive blast. Boom! The street shakes like an earthquake. Now Teasel has no idea where Rambo will strike next. And here he comes, straight for the police station. Bullets shred the walls as Rambo storms inside. Teasel, hiding above, fires first, but Rambo blasts back. The ceiling gives way, and Teasel crashes through the skylight, landing hard on the floor. Broken and bleeding, Teasel looks up to see Rambo standing over him, M60 in hand, ready to end it. And then a voice cuts through the smoke. "Told you to let it go, Will. It's Colonel Trotman." Teasel keeps shouting, calling Rambo crazy, daring him to shoot. But Trotman's voice stays steady. "If you pull that trigger, the whole US Army comes down on you. Nobody walks out alive." And finally, Rambo lets it all out. The anger, the pain, years of holding it inside. He never wanted this. He fought for his country. He lost everything for it. And when he came home, nobody cared. In Vietnam, he handled millions in equipment. Now back home, he can't even get a job. People laugh at him, call him a nobody, call him a drifter. Through tears, his voice cracks as he remembers his friends. They're all gone. One of them, he blew up right in front of me. I can't get it out of my head. I can't sleep. I can't talk to anyone. It just keeps coming back. It all pours out. The ghosts, the nightmares, the pain that never leaves. Slowly, Trotman steps forward and pulls him into an embrace. For the first time in years, Rambo lets go. The M60 slips from his hands. The war on the streets ends, and so does the one raging inside him.